Welcome back to the channel. My name is Tronage, and today we're going to be talking about Quad Box for August 2020. Want to see what's inside this box? Then you're gonna have to stick around. Alright guys, Quad Box for August 2020 is in the house. So it arrived, went through my personal quarantine, actually came a little bit quicker than I thought it was going to be, so I was pretty excited about that. We just finished doing the FPV crate unboxing for August 2020. If you missed that, you can check the link up in the corner there. And, you know, it was a little bit, you know, under the Tronage standard, but it still was some decent value. I mean, I was pretty happy with the box. I was happy with the contents. Just wish there was a little bit more value. So I'm really excited to see, how does Quad Box retaliate? What is inside this box, and how will that, you know, work into the grand scheme of things? So here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna bring you all in close. We're going to do the unboxing with you live, give you my genuine reactions. Then we're gonna do a cost analysis to see just, you know, what it cost and what you got, and you know, was it worth it? And I'll give you my thoughts about all these different items in the box. But before we do any of that, slam that subscribe button. While you're at it, hit that bell icon. It makes finding my videos a whole heck of a lot easier. It helps support the channel, and it keeps you in the know when I post videos like this one. All right, why don't you come on in and let's do this. Bam! KWAD box. All right, so let's do our usual. We do a little flipperoo. We're gonna cut that piece of tape, a little pre-open on that flap, flip it back around. We get it all in position and ready, and here we go. All right, let's just dig on in. All right, so on the top here, what we got here? Looks to be maybe a goggle strap. Let's take a peek. I'm gonna say it looks to be a goggle strap. It's a Rotor Riot branded one. Little spot here to put your little battery pack. And then it is adjustable for sizing. And it has pretty much an easy quick on, quick off with a snap, it looks like. Yeah, just a little snap, lace it through, and then snap it back on, and you are good to go. So that's pretty cool. I do like the little pocket here that's a little for your battery. It being separate instead of like kind of integrated in, so it's not like putting pressure on your head. A lot of them have like two pieces that are like you kind of wedge it in between. This one has like, so you can see this is the part that's on your head. This part is like not putting any pressure, because sometimes I feel the battery kind of like poking me in the side of the head. So that's kind of cool. Kind of digging that. All right, cool. So we got a goggle strap. We got these props here. Let's get these out of the way. So we got a Dal props, the Nepal. That's a new SKU or name for me from Dal. I'm usually used to the Cyclones. So we have 3 different colors. Let me just see if they're the same size. Yeah, N1, N1, N1. Yeah, so they are the Dal prop Nepal. Here is your tag if you want to read that. There you go. And we got it in crystal blue, crystal smoke gray, and we have it in crystal red. So that is pretty cool. And I have to look up because I don't see on here really, doesn't say anything about what its pitch is and all that stuff. So we'll have to look that up and get that stats for you, and I'll give that to you when we do the cost analysis. Next up, we have this. This is from HGLRC, a really good company. Must connect antenna first, then power up. So my guess, by that alone, here's what I'm seeing here. By that alone, I'm gonna say this is gonna be a VTX. Let's take a peek. So we got the HGLRC Forward MT VTX. It's a mini 25, 600 milliwatt output, 20 by 20 mountain holes, input DC 5 volts, output 5 volts, 2 amps, 40 channels, and an SMA connection. So Little thing about the must connect antenna first, then power up. Basically, I had someone ask me this in one of my comments on the on another video, and it's basically anything that transmits, you must have an antenna on it because it's basically trying to send something to that antenna. If that antenna is not there, you end up like getting like kind of, think of it like feedback coming back into the transmitter. It's trying to push out, and there's no antenna to like actually let it out. So it'll basically overheat and it can really damage your transmitter. So please, I don't feel any kind of an antenna in here. So this is just going to be the transmitter. Do not hook this up and power it up unless you have an antenna attached to it. But still pretty cool to have a VTX. Let's see here. We got a little coupon code. I'm going to grab that out of the way. So I'm going to give that away. Let's take a peek at, oh, we also have the spoilers. Don't want to look at that just yet, but let's take a peek at the sticker sheet. That's pretty cool. Digging that. I'm liking that a lot. My heart bleeds for FPV. I love it. Pretty sweet sticker sheet. And then we have the t-shirt, and that looks like it's it. So let's take a peek. All right, here we go. It's pretty simple and cool. Like, I ain't gonna lie, having it be like a red shirt with like, you know, a heart, quote unquote, made out of LiPo packs and stuff, I think it's pretty cool. It's very stylistic, and it does definitely send a message for people like in the know, because you basically have some LiPos here that you'd be flying with. I see some of the connectors you'd be hooking up to like your Fat Shark and stuff. You have some of those 18650s over here that you'd be putting in the case that you'd be putting into your Fat Shark. So this is very, you know, you look at this and it's like, all right, I know what this is. So that is definitely a cool like thing with all like the, you know, I don't know, I'm digging it. And again, sort of taking a page from the FPV crate, taking something from the sticker sheet and then putting that onto a shirt. However, the picture on the sticker sheet looks a lot less detailed. Like there's a lot much more detail going on in here, and also it doesn't have this like my heart bleeds for FPV ribboning around it. It just has the background, which is very subtle. I'm really liking that, and it's like the detail on this is like super sharp. Like I'm sure, you know, it's very tiny print, but I could probably even read like all the like the information on the batteries and stuff, which is pretty sick. So and also just to, you know, show, it is a Gildan brand t-shirt, which is always some pretty darn high quality. So we have the t-shirt, we have the VTX, we have some props, and we have the Rotor Riot goggle strap, and we have the sticker sheet. So let's run some numbers and see what we got. All right, I know you want that cost analysis, and I'm not going to show it to you. No, I'm just kidding. Here it is. All right, let's go through this line by line and we'll talk about each of these items. So first up, we got these dowel props, the Nepal N1. And what's actually kind of cool about these props, I was looking up kind of like on their website where the name comes from and all that stuff. And it's actually pretty cool because they said like, it's like why Nepal, and it's referencing basically a kukri knife. And I've been a big I didn't put the connection together because I'm not even in that kind of frame of mind, but if you don't know, I am a fan of the show Forged and Fired, and back in like seasons like 3 or 4 there was a judge. His name was Jason Knight. He was actually kind of sitting in for Jay Nielsen while he had surgery during that time. But anyway, one of his favorite like signature knives was a kukri, and it's a really cool blade that has like kind of this like forward motion to it, and that's kind of like how the props, the blades on these props look. They have kind of like this sweeping kind of motion to them, and the concept is that these are supposed to be more of a freestyle type of prop, and that angle and deflection and stuff that they're doing with the blades on the prop is to promote like getting rid of those negative effects that prop wash would have when doing freestyle stuff. You're more worried about just flipping and doing and just getting into a groove and having some fun, and the last thing you want to do is go through like a, you know, split S or something, all of a sudden you're like brrr, and you end up in your own wash that kind of like, you know, pulls you out of the mood, if that makes any sense. And you know, those who fly freestyle kind of understand what I'm talking about. So it's cool to have a prop. So I'm actually really excited to try those out to see, really, do you feel a difference? Is there, you know, between like, because I normally would fly like Cyclones, will they have a different feel to them, you know, without really changing much of anything? So normally I would get a, you know, for a Dow Cyclone, I would be looking around the 50-50 style pitch prop. So these Nepals are a 51-435, which means they're a 5.1 inch prop, and they have a 4.35 pitch on them. So it's a little bit bigger and a little less aggressive than what I would be used to, which would almost make sense because you'd want to have it be a little bit more smoother, so you're going to have it a little bit bigger. So a bigger prop can spin a little bit slower, so it doesn't need as much pitch because it has more surface area. You know, I'm not going to bore you with all the math, but it seems like this would be a pretty much comparable to that prop, but I won't know till I fly them, but I'm really excited to try those out. My only one nitpick, and I know this is like such a nitpick, I kind of wish they were all the same color. I mean, I definitely like that you get to sample out 3 different colors here, you know, the smoke, the blue, and the red, but at the same token, personally, I don't care, but I know some people can get a little bit anal when it comes to their props and color schemes and stuff like that. And the reason why this might be a problem is, let's say I throw the set of reds on there and then I break one. Well, I don't have any more reds to put on there because I didn't get 3 sets of the same color. So I'd have to put like a smoke one on, or one of the blue ones on, or you get what I'm trying to say. So, but what is kind of like, you know, I'll flip it around and do it from the other angle. What's cool about having different colors is then you can do a mixy-matchy, kind of like the Ethics, you know, the watermelon or the lemon lime style, where you have the same prop but in different colors. So you can have like your clockwise being, you know, red, and your counterclockwise props being blue. And that might be a good color scheme for you. And in that situation, if you do break one of your props, you do have a second one to put on there. And then if you break it again, then you'd have to go to like the 3rd color. Which in my example would be the smoke color. So that's kind of like a good and a bad, I guess. So, you know, for some of you, you might be, sweet, awesome, I'm super excited to have multiple colors. And some of you might have been like, hey, I wish I had all the same. Either way, still a cool prop. And next up, we have the Rotor Riot goggle strap. And I have mixed feelings about this, and I'll tell you why. So I've noticed a trend lately, and it looks like Quadbox is sort of jumping on the same bandwagon that FPV Crate kind of started, and that's giving items in the box that are your own. Why do I have a problem? I don't really have a problem with that, except it lets you kind of set the value of what that item is. Meaning, this goggle strap is $15 if you want to buy it online. Now, are other goggle straps $15? No, it's more of a premium price, I would say. And is this a premium goggle strap? I would say it's pretty high up there as far as quality goes. You know, I definitely am digging this. I mean, we did get that the Ethics goggle strap. I wasn't too keen on that. This one I'm actually digging because I like these snap-on things to, you know, attach it. It lets you really put it on like a lot of different goggles relatively easy because it's just, you know, snap on, snap off. So you can really use it in a lot of scenarios. And, you know, if you're a big fan of Rotor Riot and you want to rock this logo, you have to pay the premium price that they're asking for their product, which is in this case $15. Now, the problem I have with that is when you try to do a cost analysis, you know, I can't really compare it to anything because it wasn't just like a generic goggle strap that I could find, you know, that, you know, are a dime a dozen. What I'm getting at here is because they set the price, it sort of gives I don't want to say a false sense of value, but it's hard to judge the value is what I'm trying to say, because they set the price. So if they're setting the price, they could say, well, this goggle strap, we now sell these for $100 each. And now we're including them in the box. Well, if that's the case, then technically this would be $100 value. Now, is it worth $100? No, but if you wanted this exact goggle strap, you'd have to pay $100. So it's sort of, you know, it makes it a little more skewed. To be all fair and honest, like I said, both FPV Crate and Quadbox both have done this. FPV Crate way more, and maybe Quadbox is now jumping in on that bandwagon. But I have to be fair, and since I always quote the FPV Crate items as their retail prices, not what, you know, I'll mention you could probably find it cheaper, and it's probably worth this or that. But this is what it costs, and if you want this item, this is what it is. Since I do that for FPV Crate, I'm going to do the exact same thing for Quad Box, which is if you want this exact goggle strap, it's going to cost you $15. Now, can you get cheaper goggle straps? Absolutely. Are they going to be as high quality? Probably not. Should you pay $15 on a goggle strap? Well, that's really up to you, and it depends on, you know, if you want to really support Rotor Riot, or if you want to support whoever is on your goggle strap, or you don't care and you're going to use the goggle strap that came with your goggles in the first place. It's really up to you. So I'm just pointing that out as it's, you know, an observation. I want to be completely transparent. Now, with that out of the way, I will say it is a freaking banging goggle strap. I mean, the softness on this is really amazing. I mean, it feels very just very silky, super easy to configure. Like, you know, some of these other goggle straps, you have to like kind of put them together. There's a lot of like, you know, you're basically given the hardware, like here's some buckles and some straps, and you have to like lace it all up. This is basically just take it as is, you know, open the snap and loop it through and then re-snap it and you're done. Next up, the t-shirt, and I'm totally digging the t-shirt. Love the color. It's a very rich red, especially with it being like a heart on it, especially also when you wear it, it's going to be like where your heart is. So it's, you know, and it's very subtle. There's nothing like about it. Like if you're just walking along, people are just going to think it's just an ordinary t-shirt. It doesn't scream, you know, FPV. It doesn't scream, you know, anything. It just looks like a cool stylized shirt. But the thing I like about it is those who are in the know as they walk by, either they'll recognize it as being the shirt that was in the quad box, so they know what's up and they know that you fly and you subscribe, or as they walk by, they may recognize, hey, wait a minute, those are some LiPo packs. Those are some 18650s. Hey, wait a minute. Do you fly FP? And, you know, you can end up maybe just bumping into someone who also flies, and you can, you know, maybe make a new friend or something like that. I don't know. So that's why I like these shirts that are not way up in your face, but they're subtle and they still get the point across to those, you know, who know. So it's like kind of like a cool thing. And lastly, we have the HGLRC video transmitter. I'm a really big fan of HGLRC. They make some quality products. You know, I'm a big fan of their small, you know, the 3-inch quads like the HGLRC XJB145. I've got a whole bunch of videos about that. If you want to check it out, you can check that out up there. And they came out with another quad. It's called like the Arrow 3. Again, a amazing 3. Like they like freaking corner the market when it comes to 3-inch quads. If you want to see more about the HGLRC Arrow 3, you can check that up there. But I'm just into their products, and they have quality products. So this is a VTX by them. There's some good things and some bad things about this. So I'll put up some close-up pictures here for you. The good thing is it has a microphone on it, and that's important for any of those who fly like myself with an earpiece in and you listen to your motor noise. And the reason why that's important is as you're flying, sound travels slower than light. So that's why, you know, when you see lightning, you see the flash and then you hear the thunder. So when you're flying, it can get a little disorienting when you're a little bit further away and you go to do a punch out and you're seeing the punch out happen, but you're not hearing it because you're seeing it and then you'll hear the sounds. Or also when you're flying with other people in the air at the same time and you're hearing their motors and you're not hearing your motors, it can be a little disorienting. So what I like to do with the whole point of the microphone is so that you can hear your motors. You can also hear if there's like a problem, if something's like maybe a prop kind of gets banged up a little bit and it's maybe like hitting something, you hear like a or there's a weird vibration that you're hearing that you wouldn't hear from the ground. But primarily I like it just so that I can hear my motors while I'm flying, so I know, you know, as I'm doing punch outs and stuff, I can kind of like, everything just feels in sync, and it's just a more pleasant flying experience when I'm freestyling. The thing I don't like about it though, and it's understandable, it is a 20x20 you know, mounting hole pattern, so it is a smaller form factor, but the antenna connector on this is an IPEX, or the little like button ones that snap on. It's not the MMCX, which is the one I prefer. It's a more robust connection, and you know, these have a tendency to pop off, and the problem is if it pops off while it's powered up, then that whole warning thing here comes into play. Still, I wish it was the MMCX, but overall, still an amazing video transmitter. Definitely gonna be using this in some future builds. I mean, it says on here it goes to 600 milliwatts, which is pretty, you know, that's pretty decent. And on the website and stuff, it was showing like it has heat dissipation. It could be all marketing. But at the same token, still decent product. As we go down here, you can see that normally I say that I want to have about $20 of value in a box. That's sort of like my baseline. However, I'm starting to move towards more relying on the percentages. And the reason is because certain boxes cost more, like FPV Crate, and certain boxes cost less, like the Quad box, or even more less, the FPV Crate sub 250 box, for example, is even less. So in order to really compare things that are not of equal price, you can't just say, well, this box costs 40 and the FPV Crate costs 50, but I expect $20 from both of them. To say that is sort of like saying that Quad box has to give you a lot more to really compete, and that's not really fair. That's why I think I'm going to start focusing more on the percentages, because that's an idea of what you paid versus what you got, not so much just a flat number regardless of what you paid. And you can see here now our baseline is normally 25% is what we said, and that seems like a pretty good deal, that when you go to buy something, hey, you know what, we'll take 25% off. You're like, whoa, that's 1/4. That's a pretty good deal. And right now with this box, we're at 26% and change. So right now, this box, as far as value goes, is like right on the money for the 25% value that I come to expect for my baseline of boxes. However, like I mentioned a moment ago, this goggle strap, this is sort of like that question mark, because some people will look at this goggle strap and be like, oh, that is so cool. I'm so happy. I can freaking rock Rotor Riot. I'm like, I'm a poster boy for them, and I want to have everything. I'm going to have the Rotor Riot lanyard. I'm going to have Rotor Riot stickers. And they're super, super duper soaked to get this and not have to pay, $15 to go and order it. Other people will look at this and go, that's the unfortunate thing when you put a product in here that's your own product, is that people might write it off as being like a piece of nothing. I don't care about this. It's a goggle strap. It's, $5 and move on, and not realize it's a more higher end $15 type item. So that's the unfortunate thing about throwing those types of items into boxes. But here we are. So we'll work with it, and we're going to call it as is. And that's where we are with our value. Now, even if we were to call it the $20 baseline, we're at let's just call it $18. So even if we wanted to say a $20 baseline, we are still only like $2 away from that price point too. So we're above as far as percentages go. We're a little bit below as far as just a flatline number of $20. But like I said, I think I'm going to, for the future, moving forward, focusing more on the percentage, because the FPV Crate costs more, so they should give you more. So I think the percentages are really where we want to look at. So there's definitely some value to be had in this box overall, though in reality, if you don't really care about the shirt and you don't really care about the goggle strap, like you're not a swag type person. Now remember, I've said this before, I'm Mr. Swag. Like when there was that whole Rebel thing, I know I don't want to open up old wounds, but that whole Rebel box thing, I was freaking stoked because I'm all about swag. So for me, that was like a mega box that was like really good. And a lot of people were not happy because it was just a lot of swag, not a lot of gear. And in this same box, you got a t-shirt and you have a goggle strap. Now the goggle strap kind of is like gear, but it's sort of like swag. So reality here is really you just got some props and a VTX. Now, would it have been great if they would have thrown an antenna in here too? Absolutely. So now, as promised, because now we both have the FPV Crate and the Quad box for August, let's take a look at the comparison. So here you go. So now, if you're new around here, let me give you a quick tour. So basically, that left column there is Quad box stuff, and the right column there is FPV Crate. So that first row is basically what happened in 2019. That's not going to change because we can't go back in time. So 2019 is what it is. Things flagged in green mean they were the winner. So for 2019, Quad box overall supplied more value. The next row there is for what's happening in 2020 from January till year to date. Now, as a side note, if you look at the bottom there, for February, Quad box did not do a box. So FPV Crate kind of has a little bit of a head start. So that's why if you go down a little bit there, it's, you know, showing the totals for the for both 2019, 2020, and then right below that, it has how many boxes we have received from them. And this is so that we can kind of make things even, so that we're not skewing our results when one company didn't do any box. So even though FPV Crate has a little bit of a head start, you can look on average, Quadbox does still put out the higher value. Now, how do we calculate that? Well, we just look at our total and we divide it by how many boxes we received. Now, this doesn't mean every single box will have this sort of value. It just says on average, this is what we have got. And I have noticed across the board for both Quadbox and FPV Crate, slowly seeing these averages coming down. And I think that's just a reflection of just everything that's going on in the world right now with the COVID-19, and I just feel like the sales aren't there. And, you know, a lot of businesses are struggling, and I'm sure these businesses are struggling as well. I mean, let's face it, as much as we would love our hobby to be like mainstream, it's quite a niche hobby. So I'm sure they're feeling that pressure, and that's why, you know, the value that we're receiving for both boxes has been a little bit lower for the last couple of months. And it's understandable. I mean, I'm not happy about it, but it is an understandable thing. So very similarly to how I felt about the FPV Crate box is sort of how I feel about this box. The value is, you know, it's decent. It's not gonna like make me jump up and cheer, but I also don't feel ripped off or anything. I mean, there is some decent products in here, but again, if you're not into swag, then all of a sudden that t-shirt kind of doesn't seem like something important. That goggle strap may not seem like something important. So really, you're looking at just a VTX and some props, which, you know, for some people that may not be worth it. For me personally, like I said, I'm a swag guy, so for me it was, you know, definitely a good deal, and there's definitely some value here. So anyhow, if you decide to subscribe to the Quadbox or to the FPV Crate, please go into the description down below. There'll be links that are affiliate links. They don't cost you anything additional to use those, but if you are going to make a purchase, I would really appreciate if you use those, because they do help support the channel, and you just get my undying gratitude if you use those. It'd be really, really awesome. All right, so anyway, my name is Tronage. Fly strong.